Hello, guys. Welcome back to Monday Night Pod. My name is Jeremy Jacobowitz. I'm here with my tag team partner, Adam Welby.
Hey, yo!
This is a podcast all about the Monday Night Wars, all about the battles between WWF Raw and WCW Nitro. We go back in time and we re-review every single time they went head-to-head with trying to figure out at the end of the day who really should have won the Monday Night Wars. Adam, why should people listen to what we have to say, though?
Because as the world reopens, the millions of Monday Night Podheads are going to need information and podcasts to listen to in their commutes back to work. And so we are going to continue filling that hole for the millions of podheads around the world. Come on, Jerry, you sold my gimmick.
What am I supposed to do?
What are you supposed to do? I guess we're not at 1998, 99 yet, so I suppose you don't understand the millions reference. Come on. And millions. God, yeah. I don't know, guys. Maybe just turn the pot off now. Apparently we don't know that much about wrestling. But I'm going to drink this beer either way and talk to you about it.
Well, I don't know. That's a good reason. Other than that, we also both used to work at WWE. We both used to work in WWE tape library, job search, watch all of wrestling. So we've watched a lot of it. So we sort of know something about wrestling. Took a week off last week. Just things came up. But like I always try and promise you guys, when you come to the podcast and you don't see a new episode up, I try and deliver content anyway, which is why you should be following us on all social media platforms. I'm talking YouTube, Monday Night Pod, Twitter, Monday Night Pod, Facebook, Monday Night Pod, Instagram, Monday Night Pod, because we dropped a little video. I did a little look back at, we talked about this in a podcast, the time when the Giant tried to run over Hulk Hogan with a monster truck. Is one of the most ridiculous things we've ever seen. So I did a little bit of a deeper dive on YouTube. So there you go. So if you were like, why isn't there a new episode up? I deliver content. You guys just aren't following us in the right places. Yeah. So new content there, but we're back this week with a brand new episode.
Obviously, I believe that was a potty winner, in fact, for the 1995 potties, that moment.
For the moment?
Yeah, I believe so.
I don't remember anything. But yeah, so that's there. I would say let's talk about wrestling this week, but it's all sad things. I don't really want to talk about it.
Yeah, it's a pretty rough week. And yeah, I mean, well, it's been a minute since we last spoke about things. We didn't really get to talk much about what was it, NXT in your house. We didn't really get to talk about, well, then again,
Backlash happened.
Yeah, that's true. We haven't talked about Backlash.
It was so long ago, I don't even remember what happened.
I remember. Did I text you when it was happening? Because the Randy Orton Edge.
The greatest match ever. Right. I thought that was great.
I thought it was 1996 levels of cringe with how bad they were pumping in fake, like, this is awesome chants.
You know what's funny is terrible. It didn't bother me as much as most people. I think that there were times it was distracting. But
why are they
pumping in? It didn't feel bad.
They're pumping in a full arena's worth of cheering for the limited, shows.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is one of those things overall, though, where like if they just did it in every match, I don't think it would stand out as much. I just think because they specifically chose to do it for that match, it was an odd decision where it's like even more in your face. And yes, the like, this is awesome stuff made no, like the whole point of those chants is that like, it's an organic way for fans to show appreciation. When WWE tells either like the performance center people to chant it, or they literally just pump it in, it takes away from that moment because it's not organic. It's WWE saying, this is the one that this is awesome. This is the moment. It's like, no, that's the defeats the whole purpose of it.
Yeah, it's very clear that they don't understand what it is at all, because I remember one of them, like might have been the first one or something, just started after like a superplex, that like Randy Orton does in every match. I'm like, what is this? This is, it sounds like you liked it a lot more than I did. I thought it was a good WWE style match, but I didn't think, I don't
know. I think it was beyond a WWE style match though. I mean, like it moved, it felt well, it told a great story. They did the indie finisher spots.
Right. I don't know.
I liked it.
I don't think when this year comes to an end, it's even going to be in the top 5 matches that we talk about.
It might be. We never know, Adam. God knows what's going to happen to wrestling for the rest of the year. But yeah, that's Backlash.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only thing worth watching. Everything else on that card was terrible.
Yeah, right. Yeah, everything's just kind of happening. I felt, I don't know. We didn't talk about NXT in your house much, but I think
that I certainly don't remember.
Yeah, the thing I remember most about that is now we have a definitive answer for what the worst cinematic style match is.
Anything NXT does.
Just Cole versus Velveteen Dream was just the I don't think maybe the creative was that bad behind it, but god damn the execution of that match with the cutting, the cuts, the edits, it was so bad.
It didn't bother me as much. I just think that like you have to actually take advantage of this cinematic thing if you're going to do it or don't do it. And to me, you have a like insane character like Velveteen Dream, and if you're just going to dream up all of these moments, which we've determined cinematic matches can do literally anything, and you have this character that is so weird and so out there, don't you want to incorporate some of that into the match? Like make it feel like this is like a Velveteen Dream match, as opposed to just like shooting it differently.
Yeah, I mean, at least I'll say it's nice that now we have a clear, definitive winner of who the worst cinematic style match is. I think I follow the other bottom 2 have got to be, and I don't mean to just shit on WWE stuff, but like the New Day.
Well, they're the only ones doing cinematic matches, Adam. So what do you?
New Day versus the Wyatts at the Compounds was not very good.
And I don't count that. The real cinematic stuff I count in the past 2 months.
Oh, really? You don't count House of Horrors? Because I think that's really bad.
No.
Because, I mean, I count cinematic stuff starting off at the final deletion. That's like really where things.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I mean, I guess that to me that all laid the groundwork for this. But to me, it's like WWE didn't go full in until they did it at WrestleMania. Even when they did the Bray Wyatt stuff and the Hardy stuff or whatever, they were kind of just like, all right, I guess let's sort of try, but Vince eats the shit.
Record a match early. I think my favorite one is I can't really decide which I think the best one is. It's either between the Stadium Stampede or the Firefly Funhouse match with Orton and Cena.
Even the Stadium Stampede, I don't know if I'd call that cinematic. Like I understand if you want to just define it as like it's an edited match, sure. Like even the Orton Edge one is sort of cinematic, but I wouldn't, because they edited it the same way of like things and cut sound and different angles.
That didn't have like the wackiness of it. That was just a brawl, you know?
Yeah.
Well, whatever. See, we've already defined that we don't know what a cinematic match is to kick off this episode of Monday Night Pod. But really, that's not what we're all about, Jer Bear. I think we're about our time machine.
Sure, Adam, let's do it. Let's go back to October 7th, 1996. And per usual, we'll start off with Monday Night Raw. They are once again taped in a Hershey Park Arena in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Have you ever been to Hershey Park?
I have. It was a long time ago. And I remember we went through just kind of on a road trip, didn't stay or anything like that. Just kind of poked through, saw the Hershey factory, you know.
It smells like Hershey everywhere there. It's amazing.
I was going to say, I'm sure you've been there.
Yes, I was there as a little kid. I just remember there's chocolate everywhere. Everything smelled like Hershey chocolate. It is a wonderful experience. And maybe when it opens back up, families could go back and enjoy Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Why not?
But anyway, Raw opens up a little preview video package to start. And then Kevin Kelly and King join us. No JR yet. We are told they're like, I don't know, JR's on the phone or something. He'll fucking show up. Well, he shows up in the first match. It's the IC Intercontinental Champion Mark Romero with Sable taking on Fake Diesel. This match goes 5 minutes and 30 seconds. We find out where JR is because he comes out with Diesel. He's like going back and forth chatting with them. They're negotiating something, I guess. But JR gets right on commentary and says that he had official business to conduct. He's sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, we're still in very salty JR days.
Oh, does that end?
It gets lovable. Right now, it's still not lovable, but it gets lovable.
Oh, gotcha. Anyway, this match, like I said, goes 5 to 30 seconds. Razor Ramon makes his way out there. Miro decides to go after Razor with the slingshot somersault senton on the outside. So Razor then gets in the ring, go after him, and it's a DQ.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I thought that we're putting the IC champion in a jobber position against like the new big guy really quickly. There's also a point at the match where Diesel almost tears his arm off going over. I'm not sure if you caught that, but he went over the ropes, got his arm in between him, and like it was one of those spots where like a scary thing happens if someone gets tangled up in the ropes that way. His arm was in there, and like I thought they were going to rip his giant arm off, but not quite, luckily. The gimmick gets to live. But Miro was working his ass off, man. Miro was really trying to make it work. I felt for Miro during our whole Monday Night Pod adventure since going over to Raw, like since not being Johnny B. Bad. No one can ever blame his lack of success on a lack of effort.
Mm-hmm.
Know what I mean?
He tries hard. He goes out there, busts his butt. He
busts his ass, man. And he's one of the guys who we see work the most on Raw. Like if you think back to...
Hey, he's the Intercontinental Champion. That's the working man's belt, Adam.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Anyway, other notes. So basically, like I said, Razor comes out. We cut back to him in the back first. I will say, he was... I feel bad. He was an ugly, ugly man, Adam. Like, I'm sorry.
He wasn't, I mean, yeah, no.
Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, is a good-looking man.
He's an action figure. This guy is a regular kind of looking dude.
Oh, well, yeah. Anyway, after the match, Jack Knight gets jackknifed. I went back and forth. I wrote, Kane moved so well, better than Nash.
Well,
I mean, fake Diesel, but
you're not setting the bar too high when you're saying someone. Nash.
Anyway, next up we go to the graveyard, and Taker is almost done digging the grave that we saw him start last week. And just another quick promo by him for the Buried Alive match with Mankind.
Still good. Still a fun story. Still an exciting story.
By the way, I fucked up. Last week, I both talked about Noelle Foley and said happy birthday to Kayla Braxton, and didn't realize after all that it was Mick Foley's birthday also. So a belated happy birthday to Mick Foley. That's my bad. That's
indeed. You know what? I'll just say an early Merry Christmas to him, because we know how much Mick cares about Christmas.
He loves it. Anyway, back to Sid before the match, and he yells about Gold Dust. And then we get a Sweet Jean shirt promo. $50. Thought the Taker one was kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like a long sleeve jean shirt.
Right. No, it's still those denim jackets that they were selling like 2 years ago. Remember?
But those are the jackets. These are shirts.
Oh, I thought that they just like repurposed them or something.
Oh, maybe they had leftover material, but I don't think they're the same exact things.
They look like the same print of the guys.
Oh, the print.
Yeah. It's like they stopped doing the Lex Express one and stuff like that.
That makes sense. We get a quick little Mr. Perfect vignette, just sort of like replaying all those packages and like his Tron video, pretty much. Next up, it's the New Rockers versus the Smoking Guns. This match goes 9 minutes. The Sidewinder ends it, but lots of stuff happens throughout the match here.
Yeah, not like a ton of stuff that's
not in the match. I mean, just other things happening.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, it's another one of those things that they love to do on Raw, where they put a match on, and it's a match with like two established teams that like really you should care about what they're doing in the ring. But, they care a lot more about Sonny being on the phone than they care about the match itself. Even though the match itself, you got good workers who are working their butts off, but didn't really note any like spots from it or anything.
Yeah, based on my notes are just sort of what happens. We get a little pre-tape interview with I wrote Billy and Gunn. I mean Billy and Bart. Talking about facing Bulldog and Owen for the belts and saying Sonny will be back with them if they win. Sonny then calls in, as you said, Adam, and says that the Smoking Guns are just obsessed with her, but if they win the belts, maybe she will join them again. The announcers tell Sonny that Ahmed will be live with her on Livewire this weekend, and they can email Sonny at wwf.livewire@aol.com. I forgot to email that. I was going to try and see what happens.
Yeah, Sonny really like spells out the whole. It's funny because she spells out exactly how to email on when she's on her phone call, and it's clearly like, "Hey, you dummies who don't realize how to email yet." You know, it's 1996.
Adam, it's 1996. Nobody knows how to email yet.
I know. I was confused, but it's fun. Like, to a 2020 brain, it feels insulting and patronizing the way that she was, like, explaining exactly how to email.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, the other note, Kevin Kelly, once they get off the phone, actually apologizes for ignoring everything in the match, which is funny. Normally, they just blow over that part too. But yeah, pretty much like Billy and Bart were losing until they started to cheat and they took advantage and then hit the Sidewinder. So it was a match that happened.
If win and loss records mattered at all, this would be something to care about. But it's WWE, so.
Well, they have their tag team title shot coming up anyway, so
yeah, that's true.
Giving them a little boost for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, next up, we hear from the real Double J, Adam. I'm still going to call him the fake Double J because I'm the real Double J, but he can be the real Double J. And there's another JJ in here too. Jim Johnson is there playing guitar with Jesse James, singing. Video package narrated by Todd Pettingale. They say that Jeff Jarrett's whole career was a hoax. Baby Road Dogg, because he is a baby in this, talks in the studio about the WF trying to get the full story for a year. He says Jeff Jarrett has no talent, and we'll hear more from him next week. And then they call him Road Dogg, which is probably the first time that name happened, right?
Yeah, I was kind of curious about where it came from out of nowhere because, I mean, we understand roadie and all that, but
right.
Road Dogg, very interesting.
Stuck with him in his brain for the rest of time, though. He was like, "Ooh, Road Dogg, I like that. Maybe you should do that."
I mean, it worked for him. I still like it.
Yeah. Anyway, we go backstage. We go to Goldust and Marlena in the locker room. They're talking about facing Sid later. Then we get a little Livewire promo of what happened last week. We see Vince Russo there.
Oh yeah, that's exciting.
Very.
Getting Russo on camera.
Next up, JR is in the ring and brings out Vader and Jim Cornette. They talk about Vader facing Sid Barry live, and the winner of that is going to get a title shot at Survivor Series. Corny is pissed because he believes Vader already should have had that spot.
I mean, he's the uncrowned champion of the WWF. There's a funny moment in this as we were bitching about piped in reactions earlier. At one point, they bring up, I can't remember if it was I think it was Cornette who brought it up, brought up Shawn Michaels' Playgirl shoot, and they pump in like a real big all ladies voice pop for that.
That's not who reads Playgirl.
As you pointed out, as you made me realize, that's the core audience. That's funny though. Popped me.
Anyway, next up, we get a promo for the WWF Hall of Fame. Back then, it happened during Survivor Series, so it's going to happen again in Survivor Series, the Hall of Fame banquet in New York City. But then it's the next match. It is Sultan with Bob Backlund.
Sorry. We're the stars of yesterday. Meet the superstars of today. Like they love putting that line in every promo about it.
I like those Hall of Fames better.
Yeah, I agree.
The one they did last year was atrocious.
Yeah, and we didn't even get one this year.
No.
But it's all right because as we mentioned, they're fucking up with the NWO.
Maybe they fix it. Maybe they hear our podcast and they fix their views. Anyway,
Yeah,
like I said,
it's Pod pointed out NWO being screwed up. Cancel it. Cancel it.
get him out of here. Sultan with Bob Backlund and Cheeky Baby versus Aldo Montoya. This match goes 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Ends with the camel clutch.
Now, the most important thing about this match, though, is Mr. Bob Backlund on commentary.
Yes, he is in full-on crazy mode in commentary. Backlund says that he can't hear without his glasses, and then he puts on his sunglasses. Sure. They argue on why he has sunglasses on. He says the WWF makes him put them. I don't know. I mean, like, I'm entertained by him, but I literally have no idea what he's talking about.
Oh, it's complete insanity. He's yelling at the announcers. He's yelling at the camera. He's yelling at fans at ringside, and not just like the general things where, like, you know, someone will get heat with the fans. Like, he's like picking out specific things about them and making it personal. It's fucking great. Oh,
Yes,
and then the camera is like dead on him, and he's just yelling like as close into the camera as he can. Don't look at me! Don't look at me! Don't look at me! It's brilliant. Brilliant job, Mr. Backlund.
Nothing else from the match, though. It's stupid. Next up, we have another Mankind promo from the Graveyard. Saying the same.
It's the same, but it's the same of like a really good thing. I mean, the Mankind's character in these Graveyard things, and we've seen it for previous weeks because obviously they shot it all in like, over one night or whatever. But it's so perfect for this character and the way that he like squeals and yells and tears his hair out and digs with his hands and all that shit. It's so good. He's really got this character down pat.
Yep. I keep forgetting that we're also, because we're like recording and looking at each other. And as you guys know, this goes on YouTube. I keep forgetting that we're mostly a podcast platform. So I'm shaking my head yes at Adam. Like, no one knows what I'm doing. Sorry about that.
It's all right. We're calling you out when you're shaking your head, or I'll narrate it. Be like, Jer Bear agrees.
Anyway, next up, it's our main event. It's Goldust with Marlena versus Psycho Sid. This match goes 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Chokeslam, power bomb, Dunzo.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. It's another one of those matches where they care more about. I mean, in a little way, of course, Sid looks great and Goldust is doing his thing. It's a lot of character work in the match. It's not like spots. It's not reversals. It's not whatever. It's just trying to get reactions out of the crowd until they can get their shit in. But I think kind of the things that are really that I was noting here was they had a call-in during the match. I'm sure you're about to get to that. But so Shawn Michaels calls in during the match. Talk about whatever. Can't remember. But
he talks about putting the title on the line at Survivor Series and facing Stone Cold Steve Austin next week on Raw.
Exactly, right. So we have a huge main event next week on Raw. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels. That's right. Thank you for reminding me. What I was chuckling about was, so they have in the same episode, they have Shawn Michaels calling in during the main event. Well, not too many matches ago, they also had Sonny calling in. And so I was laughing. I was saying, oh, man, are they calling from the same phone line here?
Yep. It's another rib on Chris Candido because they can't fucking help themselves.
Man. If he was alive, he would be able to, like the Twitter thread that he could write about the bullying that went on back then. Wow. I could only imagine what stories he would tell.
Anyway, what's that?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, after match, Vader comes out and attacks Sid. Hits big splash, but Sid no sells it. Sid gets right back up, chokeslams Vader, and Vader and Corny run off as the show ends.
Yeah, I'm down with this Vader Sid thing that they're like teasing, putting together, and because that's a very unstoppable force, immovable object kind of thing. This is, we've seen in this block of recording. As you said, the show ends. Overall thoughts of the show, not a great show, but like Raw is better than it's been.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we end up sort of saying the same thing every week. We're like, it's not bad. Is there anything to watch? No, but it's just like a really digestible, easy hour of wrestling.
You watch Bob Backlund's freak out during the Aldo Montoya versus Sultan match. That's what you watch.
Yeah, I mean, if there's anything, that's it. If you don't feel like it, we just told you everything, so don't worry about it.
There you go. There you go, potheads. We did it.
This
we made it
is why the podcast exists. You guys don't have to waste all your time watching it. We could tell you. I mean, it's more fun if you guys watch along, and then you tweet at us and tell us your views if they're different than ours or if they're the same or whatever. But if you don't feel like getting through it, this is why we're here.
Can you imagine if one of us knew how to like make GIFs out of things that we watched and post those? That would be crazy. So anybody who knows how to make GIFs, why don't you send an email into info@Monday Night Pod?
I don't think it's that hard. I just think it's annoying, especially the way I would have to. I'd have to screen record it from the network.
Screen record your network, then probably go through like Giphy or something like that.
Yep. They have a Giphy builder within the thing you could download.
Frustrating.
And then we get sued. And then we get sued by WWE for stealing their.
You know what's funny? I'm even looking at my notes, and like my notes for segments in Raw were like 2 bullet points, 3 bullet points. These things. I'm already looking at Nitro, and I'm like, oh boy, we're gonna have a lot to chat about. So that being said,
there's a shit more that happens on Nitro.
That being said, I'm down to take our time machine on a trip south.
Right, screw off Raw. We're going live to Savannah Civic Center in Savannah, Georgia. Lovely. I love Savannah, Georgia. A beautiful, beautiful city with amazing food and beautiful, beautiful parks.
Yep.
Look at me loving the place. Anyway, Tony and Larry opened the show. What's up?
You put over Savannah, Georgia many times, and should continue to do so since it sounds like a great place.
Yes, Tony and Larry opened the show. They talk about Liz. Remember last week we saw Savage going nuts on her because he thought that she joined the NWO. But first, we see clips from Saturday Night and Harlem Heat cheating to win back the tag team titles on Public Enemy, and that leads in to our first match, which is Public Enemy versus Harlem Heat with Sherry and Colonel Robert Parker, and this match goes 10 minutes. It ends. Rocker's on the top rope, and Parker shakes rope, so he falls and goes through a table. Sherry has Nick Patrick distracted for like 3 minutes as Harlem Heat and then destroys Johnny Grunge, including Stevie coming off the top rope with the chair and he wraps it around, and then they wrap it around Grunge's knees, and they're going to have to knee the whole match, and then they pin him for the win. Lots of chaos and cheating.
Yeah, I hope you guys were taking notes if you weren't watching. It's Harlem Heat and Public Enemy have good chemistry. Like, it's just straight up. Like, those two work well together. They always have. As much shit as we like to give Public Enemy for being the Kroger brand, grocery store brand cereal version of the Dudley Boys, they're working together real well, and it's funny how the tag titles in WCW seem to go back and forth quite often. They love to have them change hands. Because who's had even thinking about how many times we've seen the title switch just in just over a year of pod that we've been doing and episodes that we've watched. I mean, God, have we seen the WCW tag titles change hands 6 times, 7 times, 8 times?
Probably, yeah. Well, it's just going to ramp up, Adam. Get ready. We are talking about the Monday Night Wars. Get ready for that to happen in one night.
Yeah, right. Yeah, buckle up.
Anyway, other notes for this. 1, Public Enemy is over. The second the music hits, everybody in the crowd is dancing, which is crazy. Adding to the confusion about the tag team titles, and WCW does this constantly, which is they can't make clear if this is a title match or not. Nick Patrick holds up the title belts as if, here are the belts, here they are on the line, which is what you do in a championship match. Yet Dave Penzer, the ring announcer, says that it is a non-title grudge match. I don't understand why they can't keep this shit straight. Or at least like the directors in the truck know, like, listen, Nick Patrick fucks up. He holds the belt. Okay, don't linger on him.
Wait, but I thought it was. Oh boy, here we go.
So this is what I mean. They sort of hinted at that, and you see Nick Patrick do that, but you clearly hear Dave Penzer say non-title grudge match.
Maybe that is part of their like doing the story of Nick Patrick being a fuck up or whatever. You know what I mean?
No, I think they're a fuck up.
Uh-huh. Quite possible. It's quite possible.
Anyway, other stuff happened in this match. We see Liz backstage going into Savage's locker room, but she walks in and nobody is there. The NW arrives in the stands. The fans go crazy, and Scott Hall gets on the mic and cuts a little promo on Harlem Heat because they're going to be facing off the pay-per-view. So yeah, lots and lots and lots of stuff happening in this match.
Sure is. I was just going back and double checking the notes about how many times where the titles switched hands at in WCW, and wow, let me tell you, it is confusing. I'm just gonna close this list because I don't want to look at it anymore. Let's keep talking about Nitro.
And next up, we see a limo pull up in the back. It's like a very old school limo, and like everyone's like, "Oh, it's NWO," but I don't know why just a limo means NWO, but whatever. It's not NWO, or it could be NWO. It is Jeff Jarrett making his WCW debut in a like very nice all white ensemble.
Yeah. They even today, if a black limo pulls up at a WWE show, we know that it's a McMahon. That's
no, it could be anybody.
I'm trying to think when the last time anyone got out of a limo.
Well,
WWE
maybe
show.
Now, but in like the Attitude Era, everybody.
No, yeah, that's what I'm referring to now. I'm referring now. The gimmick is that.
Oh, now. It could be The Rock. It wouldn't spoil it, but it could be The Rock.
I was gonna say it could be Triple H, but he's,
he's McMahon family.
McMahon. Yeah. Exactly.
Anyway, next up, we go to a Nick Patrick interview on Saturday night. He says that he fines Randy Savage for placing his hands on him $1 million.
I don't know how he's going to pay that with all, Liz running off with his money, but we shall see.
I don't know how Nick Patrick has the power to fine someone either, but whatever. Next up is DDP versus Jim Powers with Teddy Long. Diamond Cutter out of nowhere ends it after 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Cutter reversal is badass. That's all I wrote.
We do get a little pre-recorded promo from DDP discussing facing Eddie Guerrero, including calling him Burrito Boy.
Yeah, that was fun. Think of the Diamond Cutter. It's kind of a cool story that DDP has gifted the Diamond Cutter to QT Marshall now, but
everybody does the Diamond Cutter.
I mean, I know, but like that's a specific story that calling out with the DDP hand signal and everything like that.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
It feels
maybe he shouldn't have picked a jobber to give it to.
Now QT. Now listening to like Talk is Jericho and stuff like that about kind of QT's role backstage, I think he's so like universally liked by people who work with him that maybe that's partially why. And he's not in like a jobber spot anymore.
Well, no, he got a tag team championship opportunity.
Yeah, well, I mean, and he's got like a real story going like that and being part of the Natural Nightmares and everything. The jobber stuff I limit a lot more to like, John Cruz, who's on.
But he is there to lose. But QT is there to lose.
He does, yes.
He's there to take the pinfall in every match.
He's also like, seems like a little old to be like gifted a move or whatever. Now I'd be much more into.
Looks old. How old is he?
Ooh.
I bet you he just looks old.
You think he's like our age?
Oh, well, in wrestling, our age is old now, so yeah, maybe.
Yep, he's our age.
All
A little bit older. He's 34.
right, fair.
Wikipedia. But yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like it would be cooler if we saw if we saw MJF steal it as his own thing, like just say it's mine now and started doing that.
Is MJF now officially the new Legend Killer?
I mean, he's moving that direction.
Mm.
He had a solid little match with Billy this week, and
Billy, I told you. First of all, didn't I call that like 3 months ago when I was like, they can't use Billy Gunn? Why did they do that?
Yeah, you did. That's why they need friend of the show, Austin.
Billy and Austin Gunn. It's like Cody. Although Cody got his name, he claims he has a name back. He just doesn't want to use it. Fair.
We'll see. Time will tell. Maybe when he goes full on heel or whatever. It's cool to see Ricky Starks this week be the one to answer the call.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like that.
Yeah, get NWA guys out there, even though apparently NWA has ceased production.
Everything's on hold.
Yeah.
Maybe you should apply for that job. No.
This is not the time or the place. But you were not wrong.
You'd be good at it, is all I'm saying.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Maybe me and Biff Lawson will hit him up.
There you go. The two-man wrecking crew, power trip, whatever you guys want to call yourselves. Both of you guys can run it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm into it. We never came up with a faction name for ourselves, but whatever. All right. DDP, QT Marshall, NWA, all the way that we get off track here. Let's talk about Nitro some more.
Next.
What do we got? Macho Man?
Great. Next up, Randy Savage comes out with a NASCAR man to be interviewed by Mike today. It's Jason Keller. We find out he's a Slim Jim driver. He drives a Slim Jim car. So they have this very long and drawn out bit where Randy Savage tries to get at that the NWO car actually hit a wall at the race on Saturday. But the Slim Jim car finished the race, and he's like, "Did you finish in the top 25? Yeah, yes, I did. Top 22. Like, it just goes on forever and ever and ever. And we find out that it finished in 10th place. Wow. Savage cuts a promo on Hogan. Liz finally comes out and says that they must talk, but Savage just storms out.
Yeah, this is very funny because it's clearly like a wrestling personality who understands the showmanship of everything, like trying to drag this energy out of a car driver, like NASCAR drivers aren't known for being particularly dramatic or showman, you know what I mean? That's why when someone comes along who is, it's such a big deal.
Right.
So it was funny watching Macho try to bring, he's got his total Macho intensity and the other guy's just subdued as all hell. It put a smile on my face.
I love this whole thing. I mean, it brings this weird wrestling thing into the real world where like this rivalry of NWO versus WCW isn't contained to these 2 hours on Monday nights. It has infected the whole world. It's NASCAR. It's everything. It's taking over. I think it's a genius idea by Bischoff. I assume that's whose idea this whole thing was.
Yeah, probably. It doesn't seem like a Dusty idea.
Right. Next up, it's High Voltage versus the Faces of Fear. This match goes 3 minutes, 45 seconds. Mongo, Benoit, and Deborah come out to entranceway to watch the match. Meng catapults one of them. I'm not going to remember who's won. Into Barbarian, big boot, and pins him for the win.
Yeah, it was a punch kick match, as we like to say. Stiff as all hell.
Yeah, it was.
We're entering the more underhanded time of Nitro every week. Nitro likes to do this kind of thing usually. Like it dips down for a little bit leading into the second hour and then takes off. But let's keep on soldiering on.
All right, let's do it, Adam. Mike Wenner versus Glacier. This match goes 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Sidekick ends the squash. Only 2 minutes here. One, Larry says that Glacier's helmet is over 300 years old, which I am seriously doubting. And they're still wrestling in the blue lights.
Yep, and Mike Wenner has like some glorious jobber mullet hair. It is really good, like excellent jobber mullet hair. Slow karate is kind of funny and not great looking.
Yeah, it's interesting. Bischoff has talked about this on his podcast, and he said that one of the things that basically is what Glacier's whole career comes down to is like this weird slow karate. And one thing that, Eric talks about is like in real karate, like he actually has legitimate skills, but when you're sort of that big, it just doesn't look as crisp and good. Like shorter guys, just like a little bit faster, a little bit more agile. It looks better. Where the Glacier stuff just like looks like it's in slow motion because he's just a gigantic dude throwing kicks and throwing elbows. And part of it too is he's wrestling the match where the karate you could really like be whatever, but like in wrestling, like it just takes so much more out of you to be in the ring that it's just difficult to have that gimmick.
Yeah. I could see that. I guess there's an element of that to like if you think about Luchasaurus and how his stuff looks, where it's like a little slower kind of karate thing, but I think it works better with Luchasaurus because
he's also wrestling.
Yeah, he's also
like Glacier isn't even wrestling really.
He's also wrestling, but also he's the size of a dinosaur. He's fucking enormous. He's jacked as all hell. So it like works a little bit more to see that like slower kick just kind of come in and boom,
Right.
Whereas like when you see a guy like Glacier, who's a big guy in regular terms, but doesn't seem like a big guy in wrestling terms. So it just works / doesn't work a little bit differently.
Yep. On to hour 2. We are flying along here, Adam. Next up, it is Hugh Morris versus Jeff Jarrett. This match goes 4 minutes. Jeff Jarrett's obviously WCW debut here. Hugh misses a flying leg drop and is able to, and that allows Jeff Jarrett to lock on the figure 4 for the win.
All right. I like a figure 4 being done and for a win. Crowd seemed completely dead for this match, though.
Yeah. Well, Jeff's gear doesn't help.
Right.
It might be the worst gear in all of wrestling. It's like the weird frilly suspender things, and it's all white. It's so odd.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
The big question about this match, everyone wants to know if he's involved in the NWO and whatnot. But like,
right. I mean, it's such an odd. Yeah, the storyline's odd too. I mean, I guess you get it. It's like all the NWO. Well, you can't even say that because Giants in NWO, but most of the NWO people are people that left the WWF. So I guess, but other than that, there's no connection to the NWO other than he's there. And Eric even says that, Jeff Jarrett, that they've been talking for months, and this is Jeff asking for one shot to prove himself. So I don't know why they just jumped to the conclusion of NWO, but we do find out right afterwards that he's not NWO because Tony interviews Jeff Jarrett on the entranceway. He just flat out asks him, "Are you NWO or not?" He says that he'll make a reply to Hogan. He says if Hulk says that he's bigger than wrestling and made wrestling, if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, but Jerry Jarrett, but if it wasn't for Hogan, Jerry Jarrett wouldn't have existed. He says that, basically, I messed around my notes. Basically, what he's saying is that Hogan's taking credit for being professional wrestling, but he actually got started in Jerry Jarrett's promotion. So without Jerry Jarrett and the Jarretts, there would be no Hulk Hogan. So show some goddamn respect. Says that put a food on the table, blah blah. Anyway, he says the fans chant NWO, but history means something to him, Hulk Hogan. So NWO, you can stick it.
That's right. Everyone's loving this. You can stick it. Thing that they can say.
That's as far as you could go in 1996. So
I guess. Yeah, I think I always like to credit it to Sting being too religious to swear, but
he wasn't religious yet, Adam.
He wasn't?
No, he found God after the alcohol problems. He's a born again.
Oh, okay. Well, we can all only hope to be so lucky. You know who wasn't born again? Renegade. Oh, I don't feel good about that joke.
Well, first up, before we even get to that, Eric Bobby and Mike Tenay talk about the Horsemen and blaming Lex Luger for the War Games loss. Long-term storytelling like that. But yes, Adam, it is Renegade versus Arn Anderson with woman. This match goes 7 minutes. Oh boy. Renegade actually gets a little bit of a comeback spot. Goes for a second handspring cartwheel back elbow, but Arn elbows him out of it and hits DT and murders him for the win.
Yeah. Renegade looked rough in here. I mean, like he looked like he was. You read online about Renegade and sort of the state that he was in when his push started going down and everything like that, and you can kind of see it on him here. He looks disheveled. Arn is over as hell though. Crowd is going crazy for him, and of course they love the DDT out of nowhere. So that's cool.
Yep. Arn continues the beat down, but Lex Luger runs out to chase Arn away after the match. Just, this didn't need to go 7 minutes.
No, I mean, Renegade was getting flips and bullshit in, which is fine. He's still going for it, but it's like clear that they've given up on him. So, sad for him.
He had a stupid gimmick.
The Ultimate Warriors gimmick? Yeah, it is. It has no place in the hot, advanced world of 1996.
I mean, he's also been doing this fake gimmick for years now at this point. It's so strange.
Yeah.
It didn't work day one. Why 3 years later they're still doing it?
I mean, clearly it worked to a small extent because it got him to Nitro, got him to WCW. Like, I can empathize a little bit with someone finding something that worked for them, and then they're like, oh yeah, shit, this is what I'm gonna put all my I'm gonna latch my trailer to this horse or whatever the fuck analogy I'm trying to make, and stick with this.
This gimmick worked for him at some point.
Well, it got him where he, there's got to be 100,000 other wrestlers out there who would love to be in that spot, getting a singles match with Arn Anderson on WCW Nitro in front of millions of viewers when the product has never been hotter. So there is something to say to his stupid gimmick that doesn't really have longevity to it, got him to that point. But you see it with a lot of the greats who are able to recognize when it's time to adjust their approach, even watching something like watching The Last Ride, Taker documentary or whatever. Even Taker knew when it was time to take his thing and change it up and freshen it up. Watch the Broken Skull session with Kane, right? Because now there's somebody who had multiple failed gimmicks, including one that we had to start off Monday Night Pod here when we got in our time machine. But he was able to recognize at a certain point that he had to do something different. Granted, other people were able to recognize that too, and they gave him the shot. So there's multiple elements to it. You need to know it yourself. Other people need to recognize that that's there. Renegade seems like he just wanted to stick to this thing that he had that brought him this far, and he's not really trying other stuff, even though he's working a style that's much closer to a Mark Miro than it is Ultimate Warrior. He's doing flips and shit. He's doing handsprings.
I just don't think any of that was up to Renegade. I think he showed up to Nitro and Eric's like, this is what you're doing. And he said, okay. Even if he raised his hand, he said, I don't want to do this anymore. Eric's like, okay, that's not how this works. You work for me. You do exactly what I tell you.
Yeah. I'm sure there's an element of that too. There was what was it? I was just listening to the Lance Archer episode of Talk is Jericho, and he was talking about how how they had him cut his hair and his beard before he made his debut. And he agreed to it, even though he thought it was the wrong decision. And ultimately, it probably ended up being the wrong decision because nobody ever wanted to do anything with Lance Hoyt, as it happened. But there's a story, I guess, about Frankie Kazarian refusing to cut his hair at WWE when he was first brought in to give a shot. And having refused to cut his hair, they immediately gave up on anything that they would ever do with him. So
Yep.
I get it, man. It's a rock and a hard place there. I'm not sure what you could have reinvented Renegade as. Maybe Renegade should have been fake Sting. You know, Ultimate Warrior was just a more successful.
We need another. Oh, you mean instead of the fake Sting that we got, not a second fake Sting?
Yeah, right.
Why doesn't he just be himself, or I don't know, or be, I don't know, anything else besides another character that's already existed?
Yeah, well,
And then wrestle on WCW Main Event Wrestling that airs at Sunday at 2:15 p.m. on TBS, because I don't want to see him. Anyway, Adam.
Yeah, a good thing, I guess, is that the wrestling industry and people have sort of figured that out at this point. It seems like we figured out that, like, there is no just being the same as somebody else who is successful. I think the last time that was really tried on, like, a really large scale was when, I mean, granted, this is, oh my God, this is 10 years ago now, probably more. Actually, I bet it was more. I'm going to figure it out really quick. But the last time I could think about this happening was when Luke Gallows was almost the fake Kane. You know, when they brought him in. That was, that was the exact year I was thinking it was, 2006. So that was 14 years ago. Wow. That's the last time I could think of it being tried on like a really large scale like that. Can you think of anything? Anyone else who's like blatantly tried to do? Like they tried to accuse the Ascension of being.
What the fuck were their names? Curtis Axel, when he did the Hulk Hogan Randy Savage gimmick.
Oh, yeah, but that was a parody gimmick. That wasn't like actually, you know, him trying to claim, like, parody still exists. That's like saying that, you know, that's like saying that like Jay Lethal was trying to be Ric Flair and trying to be Macho Man
and Savage. True. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was a parody to an extent. It was never going to be like Jay Lethal was never going to be, oh yeah, you know, the full extent of his career.
He might have been if it got over enough.
It was over.
It was over until it wasn't. Next up, Adam, Squire Dave Taylor with Jeeves versus Lex Luger on the way to the ring. Taylor just beats the shit out of Jeeves.
There you go. Now
that's done, I guess. Anyway, this match goes 2 minutes and 30 seconds. You can guess what happens. Lex puts it in the rack. Dunzo. But that's
only he had kept Jeeves at ringside, he might have survived.
Maybe. Let's talk about Steven Regal, because he beat Lex for the TV title, but he's currently in England defending that title all over the world or whatever it is. It seemed like a weird cover-up. We know that Regal has his demons, but I looked into this and it didn't seem like it. It just seemed like they didn't want to use him on TV, and that was just the excuse they gave. When we get a little pre-recorded message from Lex, he talks about Regal having a TV title and facing Arn at Slim Jim Presents Halloween Havoc.
Woo! All right, yeah. Slim Jim Presents Halloween Havoc. Don't never forget. It's the full thing.
Always. Next up, right after match, Arn runs out and destroys Lex with a plastic folding chair. Eric calls it steel, but no, it is a plastic folding chair. Not that it's not going to hurt, but it's, you know, don't yell out a steel chair when it's like the white plastic.
Right. You're not gonna fool our eyes here on Monday Night Pod.
Even in standard def, I see everything. Next up, it's Rick Steiner with Scott Steiner, but I don't know, I can't talk. Versus Chris Benoit with Mongo and Deborah. This match goes 13 minutes. Rick grabs the briefcase from Mongo, nails Mongo with it, nails Benoit with it, and wins the match. Nick Patrick misses the hit, but clearly sees Rick throw the briefcase out of the ring, but whatever.
Yeah, I wrote Halliburton fuckery because that's what I'm calling this finish from now on, is the Halliburton fuckery. And don't worry, man, you're just having trouble speaking because you've been locked up in quarantine for so long that you're not interacting face to face anymore.
We take 1 week off from doing the podcast and I lose the ability to speak.
like astronauts with our muscles atrophying in space. Yeah. Well, so this match, you have what you think a Rick Steiner versus Chris Benoit match is going to be. You have them.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good and it's stiff and they're beating the shit out of each other. So I'm down with this. Also, an interesting thing, we have Scott Steiner at ringside, right? He's got black hair now.
He didn't before?
No, he's still in the blonde gimmick. He's still like the big blonde.
Well, no, I mean, when you say blonde and Scott Steiner, I think you think of the bleach blonde, though.
Yeah,
you just mean like more natural.
Yeah,
blondes.
but I mean, it's not like he shaved his head and then it grew back or whatever. Like it's black now.
I don't know.
Joining in.
Well, they do. What's that?
A sign of him joining the NWO, perhaps.
Maybe. They didn't mention that. They did mention that he has like a broken back, which is what I mentioned last week when I said I thought that he was injured.
I did make a note. I was like, oh shit, Jeremy was right. He got it.
I know something about wrestling. Shocking.
This was weeks ago that you called it. Weeks ago. You were like, why is Rick Steiner wrestling singles matches every week now? Yep. You got it.
So he's going to have surgery. But during the match, also see an NWO limo pull into the arena. It's Hogan and Giant. They are here.
Yep. And you know what? That's something to worry about. But I'm excited for this U.S. title main event that we have coming up.
It should be wonderful, Adam. We're supposed to get a U.S. Championship match. Macho Man versus U.S. Champ Ric Flair. But... oh boy, here we go. There's a lot to get through. We see Hogan backstage with Nasty and Ted, and he tells him to watch his back. Ted has their NWO paperwork. Ooh, maybe there we go, Nasty Boys. Maybe join NWO. Rick is supposed to make his entrance, but then we cut to the back, and NWO is beating the shit out of him. Vincent's yelling with the belt. Liz is standing there nervous. Oh boy. Anyway, Giant comes out and stalks Liz into the arena. Savage goes to save Liz, and Hogan hits him from behind. Liz tries to stop Hogan as the rest of the NWO come out to get Savage. Giant goes to chokeslam Savage, but Hogan says, no, 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 no. Instead, punching him right in the head. Multiple leg drops, leg drop, leg drop, leg drop to the back of Savage's head. Hogan then spray paints an outline around Savage. Hogan gets on the mic and says that he owns Liz, her body, her soul, everything. He says that he will destroy, and then he says, let's destroy the broadcast booth. Eric yells that he won't leave, but then we see Six drive out in a like Hollywood Hogan monster truck, like with like the 6-inch pythons around it, over to announcer's desk as we go off the air before we see if he actually destroys it or not.
Six is hanging out of the driver or the passenger.
Yes, he's not driving it. There's an actual driver.
But I think, you know what I was thinking? This has got to be the same monster truck that they used for the monster truck pull for the Halloween Havoc last year between the Giant and Hulk Hogan.
So I was thinking that this is another like actual monster truck. Did that one actually compete though? I feel like this is more like sponsorship stuff that they are competing.
I don't know. As we've discussed on Monday Night Pod before, we have both been to monster truck shows before, and they're awesome.
They are wonderful.
That is a cultural spectacle, man. If you can go to one, if you can hear the sound of our voices, we are telling you, if you ever have the opportunity to go to a monster truck show, it doesn't matter how not into monster trucks, how not into cars, how not into machines you are, you go and you experience some culture. That is for sure. But, you know, it's an all right way to end the show. Kind of lame with the fake out of not actually running over the announcer's booth. Now, I can only imagine how expensive that would have been, and I'm sure when they were pitching this story early on, that the idea was to run it over, and then a line producer was probably like, "Are you kidding me? You know how much gear is in that announcer's area?" Like,
I was thinking that they do it, but they're saving the footage for next week.
Ooh, well, we'll find out.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, it is another NWO segment that fucking dragged and dragged and dragged and dragged and dragged.
Yeah,
not that it wasn't good, not that it wasn't exciting stuff happening, but it just felt like you canceled a match I really wanted to see, and now we get just like so much. Like Hogan hit leg drop 1,000 times. You know, it's like
Yeah.
I get the point of all of it, but it's just more NWO stuff that just takes forever to get through, which feels like every NWO segment.
Yeah, it must have been a lot more exciting in real time. I mean, it's seeing some of it so much later and knowing where it all goes and knowing how it just kind of dies with a whimper rather than a bang.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, that's where NWO ultimately went. You know, like
Right.
it ended up being a cancer. But yeah, I mean, this was it was an exciting way to end, though. Overall, you know, garbage being thrown in the ring at them just spray painting around Macho, the monster truck, everything. Like, oh shit, what's going on here? Like, you know, it ends feeling like there's more show going on, which is exciting.
Right. Well, but that's Nitro.
It sure is, Chair. What do you think overall? How are you feeling coming out of Nitro?
Sort of again, the same thing we talked about Raw, where it's say like we have the same notes every week. I kind of have the same notes this week of like the stories are really good and you're invested in what's happening, but like there were so many shitty matches, it's hard to get through.
There are a couple of good matches, to be fair. Public Enemy.
I mean, I liked,
was solid. Steiner versus Benoit, as we mentioned, was solid. Those are you know, fairly good. And
okay, so in a 2-hour wrestling show, you have 2 matches that are good.
Like, even though the crowd was dead for it, I didn't hate Hugh Morris versus Jeff Jarrett.
Ugh, I can't look at Jeff Jarrett though.
Yeah, his stuff's stupid.
He has the wrong kind of heat always.
Yeah, it's true.
It shouldn't be called X-Pac heat. It should be called Jeff Jarrett heat.
I think Jeff Jarrett actually got good heat in like '99 WWF.
With the like beating women stuff.
When he was like breaking the guitar over everybody, and it was kind of around the time when he broke the guitar over Kane's head and Kane didn't move, which is like the coolest fucking moment in like my early wrestling watching life. I remember that happened, like watching months and months of just Jeff Jarrett just like murdering people with a guitar smash over their head and then smashing it over Kane and he didn't even fucking move. Oh, it's the best. Oh man, I can't wait to get to 1998 and get to Kane.
Well, we're a very long time away from that, Adam. So don't hold your breath.
So long. Oh my
god. I don't know. Which show did you think was better? What's your pick?
My pick's Nitro. Honestly, like Raw was. I mean, literally the only thing that we're able to point out from Raw that we're saying was good was Backlund yelling into the camera. I mean, the only thing that was great, you know, like that's Backlund losing his mind during a jobber match with the Sultan is the only thing that we're able to say. That was good television. Like at least on Nitro, we have like stories and intrigue, and we have moments, and we have like big things happening. Like things are happening. Things are important. Like this is a Nitro that moved things forward. You know, like if you just look at big storylines and stuff like that, you think like, could we have erased that whole week and it wouldn't have changed anything? Like I feel that way about Raw. I don't feel that way about Nitro.
Yeah, I agree. More stuff happened. It was a better show. America agrees, Adam. Raw gets a 2.1. Nitro gets a 3.5. It feels like Nitro is hitting that 3.5 every single week, where Raw seems to be a little bit more up and down.
Yeah, for sure. Well, regardless, it was fun to go through with you, my friend. That was the real highlight of this week.
Well, we're happy that all you guys got to go through it with us too. If you did like this and you are watching on YouTube, hit that little subscribe button, comment below, let us know what you thought about the Monday Night Wars this week. You could also like the video. That's kind of cool. If you're listening to this podcast, wherever you listen to it, make sure you're subscribed or following. If you're listening specifically in Apple Podcasts, to give you the opportunity to give us a little rating. If you hit that 5 stars, that would be amazing. You could write a little review if you want to. It's all appreciated. And remember, Twitter Monday Night Pod, Facebook Monday Night Pod, YouTube Monday Night Pod, Instagram Monday Night Pod. You can keep up with us, chat wrestling with us. You get updates on when we can't do an episode and we deliver something else. All those fun things.
Indeed. What's not to love?
There you go. Any final thoughts for today, Adam?
For today, I am going to get back to rushing my ass through The Last of Us Part 2 because it's so fucking good so far. Come at me, internet trolls. I've already seen the spoilers and I'm totally on board. But man, I'm stoked. I'm really liking where the Monday Night Wars are heating up right now. Man, we just got a lot to look forward to.
There it is. All right, guys. Bye.